I'm paraphrasing probably badly, but that's kind of what it said, and I do believe that. So,
well, what was it? Somebody said that the monsters come from prosperity and the great men come from hard times.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
I don't remember who said that, but I saw that, and it's very true because you look at the World War II generation. I mean, these guys are spending months in the cold or in the Pacific, bug-eating, fighting people who think they're less than human, they've got to deal with all the difficulties, bureaucracy, and stupidity of being sent to die by an officer who doesn't know what he's talking about. Most of my family's been in the military, except for me, and I'd always talk to him because I wanted to write military fiction. I love sci-fi like that. And my dad and my cousin, they said, no, don't do that. We did our time. And I didn't understand what they meant, but you look into it, and as you research, you realize, man, these guys really go through some hard stuff that's kind of unnecessary and brought on by human imperfection. Well, the great generation went through that and won the war, and as a result, they were so productive in terms of industry and economy in this country that the rest of us became monsters because we didn't have anything to impede us, whereas you don't want to be stuck in that situation. No. What's the balance here? I don't know, but letting the obstacles overcome you is certainly not the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I titled this episode "Changing Your Mindset," because the way I look at negative things, I look at it in there's two ways you can go. You can go to the route of woe is me and nothing will ever change, which is a despair merchant, which I don't like. Or what I like to do is let me figure this out. Let me figure out a way to overcome that, and that's the way of strength and how to turn even negatives into positives.
That's
I'm
right.
all about that. I think even in my comedy, I've always been about that because I do mention that, like, I can turn a negative into a positive. I mentioned that in a few jokes.
And we were talking about comedy too. You know, what so many of us struggle with as comedians is getting enough traction in terms of market visibility so that we can get to the point where our performances are actually given the monetary value they deserve. And one of the things we were talking about, there's a guy named Rodney Carrington. He's basically Dirty Jeff Foxworthy. And he's funny. I encountered him when I was 15 or 16, and he always made me laugh. And a friend of mine was telling me his story, and apparently he would just come into the bank with $50, $100 here, and then it started to get to more and more and more and more until it was tens and thousands and 20 and all this money. And what had happened was the man was renting out theaters for his show, and they had a patron list, and he was promoting his shows. And he just kept doing it for years and years, and eventually he built up momentum and got traction. So he'd go to the theater, he'd pay the rental fee, the theater would send out their monthly advert to their patrons. There's at least 100 little old ladies who come every month. I'm sure he probably chose specific venues closer to his demographic. I'm just speaking generally here.
Why not?
Exactly. That's what you got to do. You want to be smart like that. He would do that, and eventually what resulted was an economically viable career path. It took years, and there's some bank teller who tells the story, and I don't remember where I stumbled into it. It's a thought I've had. It's a hard investment, though, for me to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not a bad idea. And I struggle as well with these obstacles because they say you've got to spend money to make money. You've got to take a risk to see a return. And part of that risk can be...
I'm not ignoring you, by the way. I'm trying to share the show.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm kicking what you're passing. I catch your drifts, no offense.
I apologize.
I'm smoking what you're rolling.
I apologize. I'm actually trying to share this show so, 5 people will view it.
Yeah, we got 2 now that are live. What's up, you and you? Nice. Hey. The camera's over here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I was going to actually, on that point, and another, I was reading this because I worked at Warner Brothers before this job, and there's a few jobs in between there, but I was working at Warner Brothers, working in the gift shop of all places. And
not gifts, like animated GIFs. You have to buy them at Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I think
like a Bugs Bunny, or that's like $2, but you get you a Yosemite Sam, it's like $3.50.
So I was working at.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying.
No, it was funny. I just didn't respond because I'm just going to keep going. So I was working at Warner Brothers, and what I did was sometimes you got to work in the parking lot, and that was the easiest job, so you get a chance to read. So I would read about the history of the company. And they had a book about how it started, and one of the main brothers, he started in, this is back before film was an actual industry. So he started by buying films and then just showing them in a venue that he had rented or whatever. And he kept doing that, but he kept failing. And eventually he did that like many times, lost his life savings about 3 or 4 times, but never gave up. Still had his family, had a family to take care of.
God bless
as
America.
Well. Yeah, that's the American spirit.
Wow.
And eventually he was able to be successful, but this is after so many failures. And he figured out a way to be successful in that business because he learned from his failures. And then he eventually went on to create Warner Brothers, the studio, and now it's a mega corporation, now.
Wow. I didn't know that story.